Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the B&B podcast. I'm B. On episode 20, we are hosting this cybersecurity professional who is the founder and CEO of, look at his shirt, Cyber Brand Academy. Hey, brother, why don't you introduce yourself to the show?
Hey, thank you for having me. My name is Victor Nazita. I am like you said, the CEO and founder of Cyberbrain Academy. Cyberbrain Academy is an IT certification training company. Our main goal is to help educate and help bring people into cybersecurity. And a lot of this comes from my own experience in cybersecurity, both my military experience and my professional experience, and kind of seeing the gaps in training and a lot of opportunities to fix these gaps because these opportunities can really impact a lot of our veterans, recent college grads, struggling families. So many opportunities are out there because when I see 300,000 jobs in the United States being available in cybersecurity, I think of 200,000 soldiers who leave the military every year. So those 200,000
Right.
soldiers have a good placement once they leave. And the military does a really good job in providing the certification training to these soldiers. So what we do is we try to let them know of all the opportunities they have outside, not just leaving active duty, but in terms of education. Like this also counts for college credits,
Right.
just in the more of their of
Personal
really
growth.
exactly. And we're living in an age too where cyber touches multiple industries.
Right.
For example, when I was at the University of San Diego, we were going to do a Security Plus class. And to my surprise, a lot of these students who signed up were in healthcare. And I thought to myself, why are these nursing students doing Security Plus? Well, because hospitals are the number one target for ransomware. So now you have
Exactly.
health professionals coming into cyber, and now you have bankers because now that everything's going online, more online banking, more e-commerce, banks are being targeted, and because of that, now if you want to be a banker, now you have to have some kind of foundational level of phishing or some kind of way to really protect the bank when they do hire you on. So you need some kind of level of cyber hygiene, and that's great to see. And as soldiers want to leave the military, they have all these opportunities now that cyber can help them fill. So that's what Cyber Academy does. We try to provide opportunities through training. Just the training that I wish I had when I started cybersecurity. I know that I really had a hard time trying to find credible training. It was always changing. You weren't even sure when you went to these boot camps, is that what the vendor wants? Or is that what the company's teaching me? Um,
Right.
so so for me to go through these certifications and get these certifications, I kind of figured out, okay, what worked for me or worked for my friends. What are we seeing? And the best case of that was actually before I started the company. It was just kind of the inspiration for the company. It's kind of a long story, so I'm not sure if you want to, if you
Oh
have like
no,
the,
yeah. So let's actually break it down.
yeah.
To the general public who's not into cybersecurity, they might not know what these certifications are. But I just want to break down. You said that your military and your professional experience was able to merge into this, solid foundation where you could start your own company. You founded it. Now you're trying to help these soldiers and these veterans obtain those certifications. So like let's try to go in the very beginning, like where in your military experience took off and how did that play into this role now?
Oh, my military experience was really the role. It's really probably the spark that started my career. So I started my military experience when I was 18 years old. I joined the Army's Infantry, and I started my first semester at college. I really kind of joined for the college benefits, also too for the leadership aspect of it too. Because I played sports in high school, I missed the discipline, the camaraderie, and I realized that the military is a good way to kind of get that back.
Right.
So I found myself in the military. But when I joined the military, what I really liked about it was leadership. I got to not only see good leaders, but actually, I just also actually participate in leadership, and that's rare because come from where I'm from Gary, Indiana, and my father figure was my wrestling coach. I didn't grow up with a father. A single parent household. She worked three jobs,
Nice.
take care of my me and my brother. So I didn't get that father figure. Like growing up. But what I realized was it kind of gave me a drive to want to give it to somebody else. I really want to inspire other people because I kind of realized that as I became more successful, I also had this like this sense of lack of fulfillment. What I realized was I felt really good when I could help other people get to where I am. And I learned that from the military. I really learned to be a servant leader from going through RTC, from my mentors. And as far as my IT career goes, it really helped me out because my old professor of military science, who was a lieutenant colonel at the time, he was the one that helped me get my first internship. And from that first internship, I was able to work for that company for about 3 years. And from that company, that's where I got my security plus. And from there, I went the cyber route. So I started off in software. I was never really a cyber guy. Cyber was not my thing. I thought it was kind of weird. I thought it was mostly hackers and hoodies. I never thought that I would ever be a certified cyber hacker because I never saw myself as one, you know? And that's what I also saw in, like I said, the issues I've realized in both the military and civilian. A lot of it's the marketing, you know, because I never saw myself as a certified hacker. I never actually tried to become this. I never knew if actually something that I would enjoy. And that's really why I started Cyber Academy, because if you realize, if you look at our videos, our marketing brochures, you're gonna see a ton of diversity. You're gonna see that we use women for our voiceovers. We show diversity all through every one of our training courses, every one of our ads, because is what I was talking about before, where I didn't see that growing up. I didn't see, an African American person with the CISSP or even in cybersecurity. It was just very limited in what we saw, and a lot of it was based off your environment.
Exactly.
Like I said, growing up where I grew up, we never knew to attain those things. So when I saw cybersecurity, as an opportunity, I jumped at it. And when I realized that, I definitely got this sense of imposter syndrome, because here I am being the Army National Guard's first ever cyber warfare officer with all these West Pointers, right? All these West Pointers, Silver Spoon, obviously really good friends. But I did feel like, how did someone who grew up in a single parent household, we were homeless growing up in Nigeria, and how I don't belong here. I had that sense. And that's what certifications really help me with. Certifications really validate your knowledge. They really validate your experience. So no matter how you feel about yourself, you also measure what you can attain.
The bigger picture.
Exactly. You can never. My mom always told me growing up, you can never take your education from you. That's why we really stress education growing up in my household. And I'm kind of going back and forth here, but so the military was great because it taught me how to be a servant leader, and it provided opportunities for me. Me getting my security plus through the military, going through certified cyber hacker, all my certifications I've gotten because of the military. And cyber is a crazy great field to be in right now. Just for the opportunity, the growth, and the fact that it's so young, you can make the most impact to a branch. First time in over 30 years, that here's a brand new branch. We get to be the first leaders. We get to really make an impact, get to set the tone for the branch. So how crazy it is that you are here, right? And when you realize that you are here, that you do belong here, you are along with all these people. And I'll post a picture if you guys want to see a picture from my graduation. But I was the only Black person that graduated. But we start off with 2.
That's humble.
We started with, it was about 2 out of 16 of us. And I knew how important it was for us. And we were both Nigerian. It was kind of crazy how that worked out. But yeah, so we also kind of held each other accountable almost because we both kind of were going through the same thing. But unfortunately, he didn't pass through the CCNA portion of the course. So when I graduated, I felt more of a pressure to really represent, because I knew how impactful that picture would be. The first group of National Guard soldiers to graduate cyber officer leadership course. I knew how important is for someone to see themselves in that picture. And it wasn't just me. I give credit to the women that graduated, just to the different demographics that graduated. And most importantly, and this is what I realized through the training, is just the grit of some people, right? And I say that because I had a classmate of mine when I went through the course, and he was from Puerto Rico. And I never realized how much of a barrier that is, because it's hard to learn cyber when that's your first language.
Right.
When you learn it in another language, and
it's even tougher.
Exactly. And you still keep up, that is grit. And that's a human grit that it doesn't matter what field you're in. If you have that kind of grit, if you have the aptitude to just sit down and study, and just the drive to want to learn and want to come to cyber, you're going to excel. Because that attitude is what makes cyber great. because you have these people who are taking all these initiatives and taking social responsibility to make sure that we are doing cyber right. But it's so hard because of the lack of qualified people in the workforce, which is where Cyber Brain comes in by trying to inspire the next generation of
Right.
cyber professionals. So we're talking millennials. I'm 28 years old. That shocks a lot of people, but I've been living in San Diego. I'll show you my apartment. I live downtown San Diego.
Oh, that's pretty tough.
I've been here for 3 years.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, please listen to this guy. Please take notes for any prospective cybersecurity professionals, because this is your guy right here.
So, yeah, so I can definitely talk about cybersecurity opportunities, but I can show you literally what cybersecurity can do for you. Coming from Gary, Indiana, the murder capital in 1992, and now this is where I live, right? And this all came from cybersecurity, because when I started off my career, I was making about a third of my salary, right? Because of cyber, I went from a junior software engineer.
Allowed you to progress.
Right, exactly. It provides so many opportunities for me. And I was able to go from a junior software engineer. And here's the thing about it, right? I started off with software. So that's very important because I didn't like my career choice. And it really sucked because I felt like I was stuck, right? Because my undergraduate degree was in computer engineering. So I felt like I had to do either software or hardware or something in tech, right? But in actuality, in high school, I loved literature. I want to be a sociologist. I love those kind of sciences, but I just knew that's just what I had to do because of my degree. I knew that I kind of had to abandon my passion.
Yeah, right? Quick question though. So the sociology and the literature, is that something you want to do as your side hustles? Because I mean, you said that cybersecurity is mainly your focus, but do you also focus on other venues to keep your mind stable, to keep your vision intact?
Absolutely. So I personally read a lot. I read, I write. So we recently partnered with Bilingual, and what we want to do with them is start writing a lot more blogs, more guest blogs, and really start contributing more to the society, the cybersecurity field. And I also trying to get more certs. I'm always trying to get more certifications. Currently doing my CISM, and I mean we haven't released this yet, but we're currently working on partnering with ISACA. Right, and other big announcements that we're gonna make. So we're currently working with investment companies to provide income-based financing, so you can get your Security Plus absolutely free. And you don't pay it back. You don't pay it back until you get a job, and we can do that for a lot more of our certifications. So that's great for veterans, right? Once you get off active duty, to know that you don't have to pay back a boot camp until you get a job. That's a great benefit for veterans. It can help a lot of college professionals out there too who want to get that edge, who want to really focus on developing themselves before they enter the job force. Like I said, I'm really young to be in my career right now, but I know that if I did it right, if I did it better, I could have been where I am 5 years ago. And that's very possible for someone who is 18 years old trying to figure out their life right now.
And has a vision. Also, too, could you break down what Security Plus is, what CEH is for those prospective cybersecurity professionals who are interested in this field?
Absolutely. Yeah, so let me start off with Security Plus. So come to Security Plus. If you look at the date, it expired, but my new one is currently, I think it's somewhere in his office. But yeah, so every 3 years, your certification will expire, right? So I guess you see the candidate date being 2018. I'm aware of that. So CompTIA Security Plus is the first certification that you want to get. And I say that because CompTIA Security Plus is what started my cyber career. I was not a cyber guy. And this is how not I was a cyber guy. I haven't told anyone this, right? But I failed this exam twice. I failed Security Plus twice, and I have a computer engineering degree, right? Can you imagine how hard it is for someone who is not in tech to learn about honeypots, to learn about IDSs, to learn about SQL injection? It's so foreign. And that's why I really stress Security Plus. And I personally teach Security Plus because this is so important. It's so important to understand the fundamentals of cyber. Because if you don't get this, you can't really get any more of these. Because if you don't understand the very, very basics of what you're trying to do, what are the goals of cyber, where the goals of CIA, then you can't really advance in cyber. And Yeah, you can argue with me. I've seen people, I've trained people to the CISSP without Security Plus, but if you're coming fresh off the street, this is the
You want that
best.
cert.
Exactly, this is the first entry level cert you want to get.
All right. So
Um,
what about a certified ethical hacker? Is that for more intermediate, more advanced professionals?
it depends. Honestly, I really enjoy the CH course. CH was actually the one of my favorite certifications. And I say that because when I took the CH exam, I really learned a lot. I learned stuff that helped me in my military career. And I say that because you have to learn how to think like a hacker, right?
Yeah.
And a book that I recommend for that is by Mike Zenko. It's called Red Team, right? So Red Team is a really good book because Red Team breaks down what a red team does without like going into crazy details, but telling you more the macro. Like this is how it started. It actually started back in the day. Um, sorry.
Oh, it's people
Yeah,
like
like,
people didn't hack just using computers. They interacted face to face, and then once it got more to the systems, they started, fully focusing on, like you said, targeting these big corporations like hospitals and anywhere where they can get like sensitive information and therefore use it against them.
yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times those avenues are right in front of you. It's on your phone. It's in the web. The adversary doesn't have to do much nowadays. A lot of times the information is already out there. It's just a matter of sifting through it and finding it. So yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, it does meet those guys' targets. It's even worse, political reasons too. A lot of times they'll target hospitals right by the White House just to prove a point.
Oh, that's tough.
And that I actually got a call from a doctor about 2 years ago, and he asked me if we can provide hospital-based cyber training because that was such a big issue for them, where they were only getting targeted because of how close they were to the White House. It was a politically motivated hack. I'm gonna do a lot of videos this year too to explain a lot of motivations beyond hackers. That's why I recommend the CEH certification because it teaches you how they think, right? But one caveat though that I would say is that don't think that there is one way to hack, right? I say that very, very loosely because you might think you're a certified ethical hacker because you're very technical. But I'll tell you an example. I'll tell you a story that happened to me when I was in Georgia for the cyber warfare course. We had a team of CISOs come through from Atlanta, and one of them was like the kindest old lady you've ever seen in your life. And it was so weird because she was a red teamer. She was a hacker. You know what her job is? Her job is to go through your organization as a sweet old lady and plug her computer into your office and hack your whole network. But that was exactly what she was. But that was so cool to see, right? Break it out. It's not always what you think. If you're expecting a guy in a hoodie and an old lady walks by, if you're the hacker, you want to go with the old lady. You want someone who's like just easily walk in. You never
easily approachable.
Exactly. So if you are someone who doesn't look like the norm, you have an advantage in this field. So certified ethical hacker is something that I would recommend to everybody. Just to learn about it, just to learn about just what tools hackers use. And that's something I really like about it too. It's very tool heavy. You gotta learn a lot about the tools. And that helped me a lot in grad school. When I was in grad school, I took a networking exploitation class, and the tools I went through in CEH helped me a lot, like Kismet, know how to run Metasploit, all these very, very basic tools that hackers use daily that you learn at a very basic medium level with the CEH certification. I know we get a lot of talk about like it being like a paper drill. It's not as in depth as OSCP. It's the DoD 8570 said that it hits the technical standards to be in 8570. I know a lot of the pushback was that it's not as in depth as OSCP. I got that, but it also has to be regulations on how you take the exams, right? So certified ethical hacker, you have to take it in front of a proctored person. It's time. You have limited number of questions.
Yeah, that's tough.
So different. Yes, it's a different exam. Now, CH and OSCP are two different exams. In terms of there's no write up in the end. You know what I mean? So when you compare them two together, to me, I don't really see them as very similar. I see this as more of a like, do you want to learn the basic concepts and really get ahead? But I see OSCP as, do you want to prove a point? Do you want to prove that you are a hacker? That's to me the biggest difference. Like what I think is the biggest difference between CH and OSCP. OSCP, you already know you can get CH. CH is like you just want to learn. OSCP is you want to prove yourself. So people compare those two all the time, but to me they're not very alike. Um, but yeah, that's all I have for CH.
Well, I do got actually a question about your job though. So in the military, what is your you said a cyber warfare officer, right?
Yeah, so I'm a cyber operations officer. So it's funny, I actually just got back from Kuwait. So this is my team I was with, the network defenders. Really cool team. So if you can see, like, it's Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. So it's really cool stuff that we're doing out there. Obviously, I'm not going into details with it, but yeah. So I just got back from deployment. It's kind of weird because when I joined cyber, I thought I'll never deploy. Coming from the
That's a
infantry.
lie. That's a lie.
Yeah, I come from the infantry. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll always deploy. Oh, now I'm cyber. Oh, I can keep like feedback. Enjoy San Diego. But in actuality, military is military. Call of Duty is Call of Duty, and
IT or cybersecurity is, what you say too. It's one of the most versatile fields, and they always need people everywhere, everywhere.
absolutely. Yeah. So I've been in military for a little bit over 10 years. I started off when I was 18. The military provided me so many opportunities. Took a 18-year-old kid from the hood, taught him discipline, taught him leadership, and it provided me a lot of opportunities so I can give back. That's what was most important to me, because me being the first reservist to graduate from the cyber warfare course, I really felt the responsibility to help train up the next team to let them know, like, this is what you gotta expect, focus on this, do one-on-one sessions with them. I've really worked on that with my students. So when I started Cyber Academy about 2 years ago, we started off with like a few students where we just beta tested, a few companies we just did some testing on. But after 2 years, we have students in over 14 countries. It really blew up. We saw how the demand for this training. And I love, when people from Italy send me emails saying, hey, I passed the exam thanks to you. It really like makes it all worth it. But yeah, so
yeah, speaking about your business though, what are your like short-term goals and long-term goals regarding Cyber Brain Academy? Like, because you said it's global, right? I thought under the impression it was just just a national organization, but now since you said that you have people contacting you in Italy, are you trying to like eventually like spread it all across the globe?
Well, so you see, Cyberbrain Academy, we teach certifications, right? But these certifications are globally accepted.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too. I just want to do a video about the difference or the benefits of a certification over a degree. So with certs, they're global, right? So it's CSSP here, it's CSSP in UK, it's CSSP in South Africa. So if all three countries want a CSSP, it makes no sense for you to limit yourself to one country. So because of that, we market to the UK, where the CSSP now is equivalent to a master's degree. So we market to really wherever the high demand for the CSSP is. Mostly DoD hotspots. We market to a lot of colleges because it does work for college credits. So really all over the world. So that's where the 14 countries came from. It started off in Canada, and we got our first student in India, and then later in Singapore, and then in Indonesia, and then it started building up. But yeah, so short-term goals. I'm currently working. If you guys go to our Instagram, you kind of see the beta of this. I'm currently working on another animated series for Cyber Academy. This one will be more cyber focused. So we create an animated series for the CISSP, right? But now we want to create an animated series just for cyber in general. So we're going to talk about cloud, talk about hacking. We're going to talk about just basic cyber topics. Bundle it up, put some quiz questions in there to test your understanding, make sure you're understanding these topics. And we're going to put it on our website absolutely free. So that's what we're working on. And then we're also going to have an account for CEs. And that's big because since we're partnered with CompTIA and EC Council, you can go through our course once a year, and that'll satisfy all your CE requirements for all your CompTIA and all your EC Council certifications, and it'll be free of charge. So that'd be a great way to save a ton of money. I know how expensive it is to be a cyber professional,
right, exactly.
Hunt down these CE trainings, but yeah, it'd be one and done course. We'll maintain it, keep up to date. So that's our short-term goal right now. And yeah, if you guys follow our Instagram at Cyber Academy, you kind of see the beta test of it. We're throwing in little topics at a time until we start throwing more like 2-minute long videos to really stretch out what we can teach to the public.
Okay, cool. And what about your long-term goals?
Long-term goals for Cyber Academy. Man, I don't know. When I started a company 2.5 years ago, I didn't think it would ever be this big. But
Well, you always got to start small. You always got to, lay the brick by brick.
so long-term goals for me would be to open up a physical Cyber Academy. I say that because I want to start a test center and a classroom where we can teach the classes,
Interactive.
then take the exam. I know I want to do that for sure for our CH class, so I can set up a lab environment so we can boot up Cali and have more hands-on activities. And then once the students feel great about their knowledge, we can walk over and take the exam. I'm saying that because it's really important to get these certifications where I live in San Diego, because most people don't think about how their career could end up in cyber. And I mean, very quickly, I'm just going to talk about like I started in software engineering was because I failed Security Plus. So
Right.
because I failed Security Plus, I was able to learn about cyber. I forced myself to learn about cyber, and because I forced myself to learn about cyber, I actually enjoyed it. Actually, like, wow, this is kind of cool. It's almost like a cat and mouse game. Um, so because of that, my cybersecurity career really started. Um, so I didn't know I was going to end up in cyber, right? But with Cyber Academy, if you provide all this free training to the public, just provide awareness of a Security Plus certification averaged 81K in 2017. Maybe someone wants to do it more, maybe someone wants to like try it out. Maybe like, hey, I don't need a degree for this. I can get a certification, I get an entry level job, I got foot in the door, network, build my skills, and then I can do almost like you control your own destiny in cyber. And that's what I love about it. Is you can work so hard and get so far, and it doesn't matter really what you look like because this field is so welcoming. And
Exactly.
and I've really loved that about cyber is either in the military side or in the civilian side, people go to people who are knowledgeable because all about the skills and knowledge. It's less about what you look like. It's all about what do you know.
And
If you're the best hacker in the world, that's what we care about. It's not like other fields where like modeling, where your body appearance matters. But cyber is just really,
it's about the
how far.
brain
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the
How far.
creativity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
And I was going to
so
say too, like from what I've seen, the most brilliant cybersecurity professionals are also the ones who, like you said earlier in the video, they're also bilingual too, because therefore they're more marketable. They're able to reach out to different sources too, and they can build different connections through there, and that just brings the bridge even closer.
yeah, absolutely. And that was kind of funny that you mentioned that. So I was watching a video this morning and talked about imposter syndrome. And it talked about imposter syndrome, and it was really cool because it talked about why there's so few immigrant founders. And it's because when you have imposter syndrome, it's because either you are a minority, you're a woman, or you're an immigrant,
Yeah,
right? So if you're 2 out of 3, it's very hard. It's very rare that you're gonna have that spark to. You might think of a company, but to actually go for it will be a little bit harder, because like you're creating all these boundaries in your head, and that's what I really realized about myself when I was in the cyber warfare, or as a cyber officer course, because it was a year-long course. So it was a year long of me getting over this. It was a very technical pipeline, and we started off with CCNA, then CISSP, then CEH. I'm sorry, not CEH, then OSCP. So we had this very technical training pipeline. We had to keep up. It was so quick paced that you gain confidence by doing the hard things. So when you had a really hard year, you come out so much better, so much more confident. And honestly, what made me really break that and really go for it was my coworker. Before I went to the course, I was working in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and he was a business analyst, and he wanted to go into cyber, and he didn't really know how. And I told him about Security Plus. Oh, I told him like, well, Security Plus would be for sure your way to prove to them that you have some technical skills coming from
right.
a business analyst background. So he asked me how I studied, and I gave him my stack of note cards. So what he did was he typed them all out, and then he studied from what he typed, and he passed the Security Plus exam. So he sent
That's
me
good.
sent me an email, thanking me, or maybe it was a text saying, "Hey, thank you so much. I passed the Security Plus exam. Your notes were great." And I was like, and that was the spark, you
Yeah,
know,
you found that
and
joy of helping people.
exactly that was where it was. because you got to think, remember, I failed this exam,
Two
right?
times, right?
I failed the exam twice because I didn't care about cyber. I thought this was, some nerdy stuff. I mean, like I did not think I would ever end up in cyber.
look,
Um,
look where you're at now, though.
yeah, I mean, like
It's a humble story. You build yourself up.
I absolutely is, and like to me, it's not even about where I am. It's more about like where someone else could be.
Exactly.
I chose this
I
path,
respect that heavily.
right? Like I chose this path, but what I did too, I almost did it to show other people that this is possible. So 3 years ago, I bought a Maserati, and my friends were saying, "Yo, you're 25. Okay, either you're rapping, you're running back, or like something's going on." And no one thought
Cybersecurity.
about no one thought about cybersecurity. And I thought about cybersecurity. I'm like, yeah, I got a certification called CSSP. I got a really big promotion. So yeah, and also too, I had no kids. I was a single guy, and all my bills were paid. So that's kind of how I rationalized it in my head. But honestly, it was because I was wanted one. To me, that's what I really worked for. Was I really like cars. It can be someone else, it can be their family. It can be taking care of the family. It can be putting your kids through college. So many
Venues.
opportunities, so many avenues, exactly, so many avenues of one exam, and it's really kind of choose your own destiny once you do the hard. I mean, it's a ton of hard work to study search, but once you do it, it's almost like a door opens. You go on LinkedIn, you put those 5 letters behind your name, and now recruiters suddenly can see you.
And I
You
do have
know,
a question about your business though. Like you're noticing a lot of positive changes, but when you were starting this business, what were the hardest challenges trying to get it off its feet?
I think the hardest challenge getting out the feet was, um, man, we had a lot of challenges. I mean, it was a lot of personal challenges because I was going through grad school at the time. So it was really the availability of us working still, us still working full time. So it was working full time, going through grad school, and then developing this training course. So the biggest issue I had was really time management,
Yeah.
and that's really where you have to really rely on other people to really help you. When you start a business, it's a ton of pressure because everything comes down to you. The business succeeds or fails is ultimately your fault. And as a CEO, which is great that I experienced that through business because it helped me as a leader in the military as well to really take on that responsibility. But to answer your question, I think the biggest hurdle we had was I have to say it was just me doing it. And I really think that it seems understated, but it was like a mountain in my head.
Yeah.
And it was such a tremendous pressure because at that time, no one knew who I was. I was barely on, I don't think I've ever posted on LinkedIn. No one, I was just this guy who, like I said, the whole immigrant mentality of, just don't call it outside the lines, stay in your place.
Stay in your lane.
And
Yeah.
exactly. So
It
I
helps you
had to
grow though.
exactly. I had to really like look inward and think, okay, where you are, no one can take from you. Like no one can take your education from you. No one can take your pride from you, right? You don't lose much from doing this company. You can always bounce back and be back to who you are. You can still be a senior engineer. You can go back to living your life. What if anything? I took a huge pay cut because I was self-funding this entire business, the marketing, and I had to learn how to build a website. I had to learn how to pretty much, do my own marketing, do my own website. I had to learn so much, but it was great because now that now I put more skills onto my resume. So I really benefited from that. But yeah, the biggest hurdle was just really getting over the mind, and that's so I don't know, like the cyber brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that was the biggest hurdle, and I'm saying that because as an African American, I don't see many people who look like me in cyber, and I've seen it a lot, through my career, especially through college. I was the only Black graduate from my program. I was the only Black software engineer on my floor. So I've just kind of lived through that. But I got to like be okay with it, because to me it was great that they were seeing me because I knew it wasn't just me; it was bigger than me, right? So I was through that pressure on and like really like felt proud, like how proud am I to really show the world, like, hey, I can be the first to do this and succeed. When I see that picture and say that was the first Black 17 Alpha in the U.S. Army Reserve,
Right.
that can inspire other people. And it's not just to really focus on African Americans here. It's to really focus on everybody, how important it is.
Diversity.
Yeah, because like I said, I didn't know about cybersecurity growing up, and for me to go back to my high school and to look at kids who were looking just like me at my age, back then, and to like tell them, hey, you don't have to go to school to, to be a doctor or be a doctor if you really don't want that. I also found a lot of happiness in cyber, and just to give them an avenue, because when I started college, I had no idea what I wanted to be, and
That's absolutely.
if I found cyber sooner, I would have fell in love with it. If I actually forced myself to learn it, if I actually saw what it could have done for my career, I would have made that step sooner. Um, but the biggest issue I had was just kind of getting over my own fear of becoming who I believe that I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's actually, I do have another question too. As far as formal education, right? You said on the other hand, you learn a lot through self-education. You learn how to make your own website. You learn how to market. You learn how to do time management. But like for somebody who's starting cybersecurity in college, what degrees would you recommend? Would you recommend like a cybersecurity degree or like software engineering or something like that?
Honestly, my personal opinion, your degree does not matter.
Yeah,
And
I get that too.
and I'm saying that because
Experience.
I didn't use my degree when I graduated. My degree was in computer engineering technology, and I failed Security Plus twice with that degree. So the degree doesn't matter. It's more about really what skills are you learning in college. Like if I learned anything through college was what are you learning? And I said because my first job out of college, I was a software engineer. I was a Java developer. But what I realized was, excuse me, so being a Java developer, I was writing the unit test for my team, and I never wrote one before. Never wrote a unit test before. And the reason for that, no like fault for Purdue, but it was so my field was so hardware focused that when we did software, it was mostly C, a little bit of C sharp. I took one Java class my entire college. So that one Java class was the foundation for my first job. And what made it worse was when I started, we didn't use the Java that I learned. We used Java Spring. And I learned SQL. We didn't use SQL, we used Mongo database. So
Right.
it was all JSON, non-relational objects. So I had to learn JSON. I had to learn I had to unlearn SQL. I was like, what did I do for the last 4 years? I could have done all this at least like within a year. I could have really like,
Yeah.
so if I knew what I needed to know for that job. And what helped me a lot was really Amazon. I just got on Amazon, I found the books, next day shipping. I was at work, head down for 8 hours, just read through it, played along with the computer, and within 2 weeks, I was writing unit tests for the whole team. And that's what I learned in college. It's not about what you learn; it's can you learn? How quickly can you learn?
Yeah. How can
How
you
quickly
apply
can you,
it?
exactly how quickly can you find out information and test it out and play with it and learn it, and then be trusted to provide results. And that's what I learned. My very first job was, oh wow, I learned how to do this when I was in school. So to me, that's a basic skill to learn while you're in school. Don't worry too much about your degree. I've worked with the most brilliant engineers who had economics degrees. So don't worry too much about that. Really focus on networking. Find that job, you find that career for you that you
Your
want.
passion. Yeah.
Exactly. Find that passion. Find that thing that you really love to do. That if you could do it for free, what would you do? And really, really put all your energy into that, and you're gonna see that will fill that
That
will bring
growth. My God. My
that.
God.
Because my first job, even though I was making good money for fresh out college guy, it really didn't make me happy. I was not a programmer. This one class I took, and I got like, I think I got like a B minus. It was like I got an A plus in Java, but that one class is really my first job. And and honestly, what I hated the most about programming was that there's days where I loved it. I'm on a roll. I'm writing code like all day, but then there's days where you're just staring for that semicolon for hours. and that was just, those days were just really just bugged me down to the point where I'm like, do I even love what I do? Do I love coming to work?
Wow.
And with cyber is great. And I mean that from the military perspective because my cyber teams, I've been with three different teams. Each one of them were phenomenal. The best people, the best personalities, all there. The people I worked with in Kentucky were amazing too. But it's just being around those people, I felt like I could be more myself. I could be more, really more open. And cybersecurity, I know for sure in the West Coast, it's tremendously booming. Um, and honestly, the job satisfaction has been ridiculously high, especially after the pandemic. Our industry didn't get hit as hard as most industries did.
Yeah.
So that's another big push too for people to kind of come into our industry. It's just kind of that job security, where you have that option to work remote or, telework when you can. There's a lot more flexibility in the IT side than, in most professions. But yeah, sorry, I hope I answered your question.
Oh no, no, this has been fantastic. And actually, I wanted to get some more information about your site so we could get more people exposed to it.
Mhm.
So the website, does it proceed as followed? Cyberbrain Academy.
Yes.
Okay, and then as far as social media outlooks, is it the same thing too?
Yeah, all at Cyber Academy.
Okay, cool. And as far as the website, is it a .com or .org?
.com.
Okay, .com. Okay, Instagram, Facebook. Hey, Victor, man, I really appreciate you on the show. I appreciate everybody listening to the show. This guy is a beacon of knowledge. He provided you the tools, and I hope y'all wrote some good notes because this man's a phenom. He's a phenom with this. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the B&B podcast. Make sure you check out www.cyberbrainacademy.com and make sure you hit my boy Victor up because he'll provide you the tools to lead to a successful cybersecurity career. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the podcast. I hope you'll have a wonderful day.